The substitute teacher walked in without a word. No introduction. No name on the board. Nothing. He just sat at the desk and stared at us. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable. We all just assumed Mr. Henderson was out sick again. This guy was older, with eyes that seemed to look right through you, not just at you. He had this unsettling calm, like he'd seen it all and wasn't impressed by any of it. He didn't even open a textbook. He just picked up the attendance sheet, scanned the names, and then his eyes landed on Sarah, sitting in the front row. He said, "Sarah, you told your parents you were at the library last Friday night." Sarah froze, her face turning pale. The teacher continued, his voice flat, emotionless. "But you weren't, were you? You were with Michael, and you still worried your dad will find out about the dent you put in his car." A collective gasp went through the room. How could he possibly know that? Sarah looked like she was about to cry. Michael, who sat 2 rows behind her, sank in his chair, avoiding everyone's gaze. The teacher didn't even look at her reaction. He just moved on, his finger tracing down the list of names. His eyes stopped on David, the class clown. "David," he said, and the usual smirk on David's face vanished. "You act like you don't care about your grades. But you stay up late every night, rereading the chapters, terrified you won't get into the same college as your older brother." David's jaw dropped. He was always so carefree, making jokes about failing. No one would have guessed he was secretly stressed. The teacher's gaze was relentless. It felt like he was peeling back layers of our personalities, exposing the raw nerves underneath. The classroom, usually buzzing with whispers and side conversations, was dead silent. All you could hear was the hum of the old fluorescent lights above. Next, he looked at Jessica. She was quiet, always drawing in her notebook. "Jessica, everyone thinks you're just shy. But you write stories, don't you? Stories about a world far away from here. You submitted 3 of them to a publisher under a pen name, and you check your email 20 times a day, hoping for a reply." Jessica's hands flew to her notebook, clutching it to her chest as if he'd just read a page aloud. These weren't just simple observations. These were our deepest, most private truths. The things we didn't even tell our best friends. The fear in the room started to curdle. It wasn't just embarrassment anymore. It was something deeper. Who was this man? How could he know these things? He went on like this, student by student. He knew that Mark was secretly taking dance classes, that Emily was the one who had anonymously reported a case of cheating on the last exam, and that He knew that I practiced my presentations in front of a mirror for hours because I have a crippling fear of public speaking. When he said my secret, it felt like a punch to the gut. My face burned, and I felt exposed, vulnerable, like I was standing naked in front of the entire class. The room was thick with tension. We were all looking at each other, seeing not our friends, but the secrets they kept. The trust we had was dissolving with every word he spoke. The atmosphere had shifted from curiosity to outright panic. Some students were crying silently, others were staring at the door, as if plotting an escape, but no one moved. We were frozen, held in place by his piercing gaze and the weight of our own exposed secrets. It felt like he was a ghost, a supernatural entity sent to judge us. The rational part of my brain was screaming that this was impossible, a prank, a setup. But the raw, specific details he knew silenced that voice. There was no explanation. He knew too much. He knew things that were buried so deep, I had almost convinced myself they weren't real. Then he got to the last student on the list, a quiet kid named Alex, who always sat in the back. The teacher stared at Alex for a long, uncomfortable moment. The whole class held its breath. What could he possibly know about Alex, who barely spoke a word to anyone? The teacher opened his mouth, but then he paused. A strange look crossed his face, something like confusion, or, be even, fear. He looked down at the attendance sheet, then back at Alex. He just shook his head slowly, and for the first time, he looked lost. He didn't say a word. The bell for the end of class suddenly shrieked, shattering the silence. We all flinched, startled by the sudden noise. In that split second, every head effed towards the clock. When we looked back at the teacher's desk, he was gone. It wasn't like he walked out, it was like he was there one moment, and then just wasn't. The chair was empty. The attendance sheet was still on the desk. There was no sign he had ever been there, except for the trail of devastation he left behind in our minds. We all just sat there, stunned, for a full minute before anyone dared to move. No one spoke. We just packed our bags in a daze and walked out. We never saw him again. We asked the principal. We asked other teachers. No one had hired a substitute for Mr. Henderson's class that day. In fact, Mr. Henderson had just been running late, stuck in a meeting. He arrived about 5 minutes after the bell rang, confused as to why we were all so shaken. There was no record of the man, no name, no agency, no trace. It was as if he had materialized out of thin air and then vanished back into it. The attendance sheet on the desk was blank. The incident changed us. We couldn't look at each other the same way. The secrets were out, hanging in the air between us, unspoken but known. The fragile social structures of our class were shattered. But something else happened, too. Sarah eventually told her parents about the car. David started asking for help in class. Jessica shared one of her stories with a friend. It was like, once the secrets were out, they lost their power. The man, whoever or whatever he was, had terrified us. But in a strange, twisted way, he had also set us free. But I still get chills thinking about it. Who was he? And what did he see when he looked at Alex that made him stop and then disappear? That's the one secret he took with him. Thanks for watching. If you have any theories, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more strange stories. The school was supposed to be our safe space, but we were so wrong. It all started during the summer renovation. Our classroom, room 207, was getting a facelift. New desks, fresh paint, the works. The old, heavy slate chalkboard was the last thing to go. When the construction crew pried it off the wall, they found something none of us were prepared for. A door, a small, wooden door, painted the same faded yellow as the wall, almost perfectly camouflaged. It had no handle, just a keyhole caked with dust. We weren't supposed to find it, but someone had already opened it. The door was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness beckoning from beyond. Curiosity got the better of us. Me, Maya, Liam, and Chloe, we were the AV Club kids, always looking for a story. We convinced the foreman to let us take a quick peek before they sealed it up for good. 5 minutes, he said, then it's gone forever. Those 5 minutes changed everything. We nudged the door open. The air that hit us was stale, thick with the smell of old paper and something else. Something metallic and vaguely sweet. It was a small, windowless room, more of a closet really. The walls were lined with corkboards, covered in a chaotic collage of photographs and handwritten notes. Old school photos, candid shots of students in the hallways, at lunch, during class. They went back years, maybe decades, but as we looked closer, a cold dread started to creep up my spine. The newer photos, they were of us, not just our year, but our specific friend group. There was a picture of Liam acing his calculus test, a blurry shot of Chloe laughing by her locker, a photo of Maya and me working on a project in the library just last week. Who was taking these? And why? My hand started to shake as I held up my phone, its flashlight cutting through the gloom. Pinned to the center of one board was a floor plan of the school. It was meticulously detailed, but certain areas were circled in red ink: ventilation shafts, maintenance tunnels, janitorial closets, hidden pathways. Lines were drawn from these spots to specific classrooms, including ours. It felt like we were looking at a predator's hunting map. A wave of nausea washed over me. This wasn't just some old forgotten storeroom. This was a surveillance hub. Then Liam saw it. Tucked away in the corner was a small desk. On it sat a vintage reel-to-reel tape player and a small, outdated CRT monitor. A yellowed sticky note was stuck to the screen. In frantic, spidery handwriting, it said, "They see you. They hear you. Don't let them know you know." My heart hammered against my ribs. This was a warning. A warning from who? And for who? Maya, ever the techie, fiddled with the monitor. It flickered to life with a low hum. What we saw made the air leave my lungs. It was a live feed. A grainy, black and white video from a pinhole camera. It took me a second to recognize the angle. It was looking down from the corner of our classroom, room 207, right where the new smartboard was being installed. We were watching an empty room, but the implications were terrifying. How long had that camera been there? Chloe let out a small gasp. She was pointing at a stack of dusty VHS tapes next to the monitor. Each one was labeled with a year and a series of names. 2015, Sarah. Mark, Emily. 2018, David, Jessica, Ryan. The last tape, the one on top, was different. It didn't have a year, it just had our names. Liam, Chloe, Maya, and me. My mind was racing, trying to piece it all together. The photos, the map, the live feed, the tapes. It was a system. A long-running, secret surveillance operation targeting students. But who was behind it? And what happened to the kids on the other tapes? Were they just archived? The claustrophobia of the small room was suddenly unbearable. The walls felt like they were closing in, the stale air suffocating me. Every shadow seemed to move. Every creak of the old building sounded like a footstep. "We have to get out of here," I whispered, my voice trembling. But as Liam reached for the doorknob, we heard a noise from the hallway. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, and getting closer. We froze, our eyes wide with panic. The foreman had said he'd be back, but this didn't sound like him. This was a different rhythm, a patient, knowing gait. We quickly killed our phone lights and huddled in the darkness, trying to silence our ragged breaths. The footsteps stopped right outside the hidden door. For a moment, there was complete silence, so profound I could hear the blood pounding in my ears. And then, a sound that will haunt me forever. The soft, metallic click of a key sliding into the lock from the outside. We were trapped. Someone knew we were in here. Someone had let us find this room. We were just the next names on the tape. The doorknob began to turn, slowly, agonizingly. The sliver of light from the hallway was cut off as the door began to swing inward, revealing a dark silhouette against the dim light of the corridor. We couldn't see a face, just a shape that had been watching us for a very, very long time. That's the last thing I remember clearly before the screaming started. We never found out who it was. The school sealed the wall, plastered it over, and acted like nothing ever happened. They told our parents we had a panic attack from the construction dust, but we know what we saw. We know someone is still in that school, watching through hidden cameras, walking secret paths, and adding new names to their collection. We switched schools, of course, but the paranoia never leaves you. I still check the corners of every room. I still feel their eyes on me. Sometimes, I swear I can still hear the clicking of the lock. So, if you ever in an old building and you see a wall that looks just a little bit out of place, maybe it's best to just walk away. You never know what or who is waiting on the other side. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there. Have you ever had one of those memories that just doesn't make any sense? A glitch in the matrix, a moment you replay over and over, trying to find the logic, but it just slips through your fingers. I have one of those, and it all revolves around my high school yearbook and a boy named Leo. This was back in the late 90s, a time of dial-up internet and writing notes in class. The end of the school year was a special kind of chaos. The air buzzed with the promise of summer, and the main event was the arrival of the yearbooks. It was a sacred ritual. You'd get your crisp, new book, a Sharpie in hand, and embark on a mission to collect as many signatures as you could from friends, crushes, and even teachers. Each signature was a little time capsule, a memory permanently etched onto the glossy pages. I wasn't in the super popular crowd, But I had my circle. We were the artsy kids, the ones who spent lunch in the library or the art room. And in that circle was Leo. Leo was different. He was quiet, intensely observant, and had this way of looking at you like he could see right through all the teenage awkwardness. He was an incredible artist, always sketching in a worn-out notebook. His drawings were fantastical, strange creatures and surreal landscapes that felt like they were pulled from another dimension. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was always something profound or weirdly funny. We weren't best friends, but we shared a mutual respect, an understanding that we were both a little out of step with the rest of the school. I remember one time in art class, I was struggling with the perspective drawing, getting frustrated. He came over, didn't say a word, and with a few light pencil strokes, he fixed the whole thing. He just smiled, a rare, genuine smile, and went back to his own work. That was Leo. Then, about a month before the school year ended, maybe 6 weeks before graduation, Leo was gone. Just like that, rumors flew around the hallways like wildfire. The most common story was that he'd been involved in some kind of major fight off campus. Another rumor said he'd pulled a dangerous prank on a teacher. The administration was tight-lipped, but the official story that trickled down was that he had been expelled. It was a harsh, sudden end to his high school career. His desk in art class sat empty, a silent monument to his absence. We all felt it. The dynamic of our little group shifted. The quiet corner of the art room felt a little less magical. Life, as it does in high school, moved on. The final exams came and went. The senior prank happened, and then the moment arrived. Yearbook day. The gym was buzzing. I got my book and immediately started the signature hunt. I got all the usual messages. Have a great summer. Stay cool. HAGS. You know the drill. It was a frantic, joyful afternoon. I filled page after page with memories. Later that evening, I was at home, sitting on my bedroom floor, flipping through my newly decorated yearbook. I was rereading all the notes, smiling at the inside jokes and the well wishes. I turned a page, and my eyes landed on a section near the back, a collage of photos from the school's art show. And right there, scrawled in the margin in familiar, artistic handwriting, was a message. It was from Leo. My heart literally stopped. I stared at it, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. It was undeniably his handwriting, the sharp, elegant letters, the unique way he looped his L, and the signature was just one word: keep drawing. Below it was a tiny, intricate sketch of a dragon, the kind he used to draw all the time in his notebook. It was impossible, absolutely, utterly impossible. Leo hadn't been in school for over a month. He wasn't there on yearbook day. I would have seen him. Everyone would have seen him. His expulsion was the biggest piece of gossip for weeks. His return would have been an earthquake. I hadn't seen him, spoken to him, or even heard a whisper about him being anywhere near the school. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. Did he sign it before he was expelled? No, the yearbooks were only handed out today. We never saw them before this afternoon. Could a friend have forged it for him? I looked closely at the signature again. No one could replicate his style, and especially not the little dragon sketch. It was too perfectly him. And why would a friend do that? It made no sense. I went back to school the next day, my yearbook clutched in my hands. I found my friends from the art room. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual, did any of you guys see Leo yesterday? They all looked at me like I was crazy. Leo? No, why would he be here? He got expelled, remember, one of them said. I pressed them. Are you sure? Like, you didn't see him at all? They were certain. No one had seen Leo. I cautiously opened my yearbook to the page. Well, look at this. I showed them the message. They all leaned in, and a collective silence fell over the group. Whoa, one friend whispered, That's his writing. Another friend touched the page gently, as if to confirm it was real. How? When did he sign this? I have no idea. I said. I just found it last night. We spent the entire lunch period theorizing. Maybe he snuck into the gym. But the teachers were there like hawks, monitoring everything. The gym was packed. A ghost could have slipped in more easily than an expelled student. Maybe he grabbed my yearbook when I wasn't looking. I thought back on the day. My yearbook was with me almost the entire time, or with a friend who was signing it. I couldn't recall a single moment where it was just left unattended. The mystery deepened. It was like Leo had momentarily phased back into our reality, just long enough to leave his mark, and then vanished again. The message itself, "Keep drawing," felt so personal, so poignant. It was a direct callback to our shared passion, a quiet word of encouragement from the person whose art I admired most. It felt like a goodbye. For years, that signature has been a puzzle I can't solve. I never saw or heard from Leo again. He faded into the realm of high school legend. Sometimes, when I'm feeling nostalgic, I pull out that old yearbook. I trace the words with my finger, look at the tiny, perfect dragon, and I'm right back on my bedroom floor, a teenager baffled by the impossible. Was it a prank, a misunderstanding, or was it something else? A little piece of magic, a final, unexplainable gesture from a boy who always seemed to exist on a slightly different plane than the rest of us. It's a memory that defies logic, a story with no neat conclusion. And honestly, I think I prefer it that way. It's my own personal mystery, a reminder that sometimes the most memorable things in life are the ones we can't quite explain. What do you think happened? Have you ever experienced something similar? A little glitch in your own life story? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories and your stories. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing for more tales from the unexplained corners of life. See you next time.